So welcome to Pitch Day for February 23rd, 2022. Pitch Day is always an exciting day for us here at Startup NV, and we're super happy to hear from Adrian Hatch from Imajion today. So before we get started with Adrian and Imajion, just a couple of things for those of you who are new to our program. So Startup NV is Nevada's statewide nonprofit startup accelerator and incubator. We operate three nonprofit programs for entrepreneurs or founders, and three for-profit investment funds for angels and early stage investors. So we run pitch days every other Wednesdays where companies pitch for the Q&A that comes at the end of their pitches, and also for entry into our accelerator program, which comes with a minimum of a $50,000 investment. For information on our other investment programs, just check us out online at startupnv.org. There's lots of information there. Our nonprofit work with entrepreneurs would not be possible without financial help from our sponsors and supporters like the City of Las Vegas, BrexCard, and Glassboard Technologies. We really appreciate the help, and it's required so that we can have those resources available to do the work that we do. So if you do know somebody who likes what we do and might think about being a sponsor, just make an intro to me. I'd appreciate it. And it doesn't have to be cash sponsorship. We get a lot of in-kind services in support of our mission. So just a couple of other program notes before we get started. First, you probably have seen or heard we're live on YouTube, and we're also recording this session. We end up creating two recordings for this session that will go live on our YouTube channel after today's session. Actually, one recording goes live on YouTube after our session. Of the two recordings that we make, one is just the pitch from the moment Adrian introduces himself and his company until he puts up that slide for questions. That will be the part that's live, that remains on YouTube. The Q&A that we do after that point will be in a private link that Adrian will have access to and our LP group will have access to. So if for any reason, Adrian, you don't want your pitch on our YouTube channel, make sure Maggie knows by tomorrow, because that's when it'll go up.
Post it live.
Okay, so we usually get a few hundred people watching live or viewing the recordings after the fact, which means that our founders get some really interesting contacts. Some of them are super productive, some of them are strange. So just realize that if you do get a contact from somebody who saw the pitch, be discerning and deal with them all professionally. So Adrian, you have 10 minutes to pitch today, and you'll hear an alarm at the end of that 10-minute mark. And if you do hear the alarm, if you're not wrapped up, just wrap it up within 10 seconds or so we don't have to give you the hook. For all of our folks online, questions go into the chat. Maggie's going to summarize those questions and ask them on our behalf after the pitch is over. That helps things go a little faster, and we get a few more questions in that way as well. So the whole process from beginning to end, Adrian, once we turn it loose to you, is going to be about 30 minutes, 10 for pitching, 20 for questions, if we have that many questions. So anytime that you're ready to begin, Adrian, go ahead and put your slides up, and we'll get started whenever you get ready to start pitching.
Sure thing. Let me hit the share button. Okay, so thank you very much, Startup NV, for having me here today. My name is Adrian Hatch. I am CEO and co-founder at Imajion, and we build a tool for collaborating on the job site remotely. We bring remote work to the construction industry effectively. So the problem we're solving is that moving progress forward on construction projects relies on coordinating the efforts and the expertise of many different stakeholders who might be on the job site, like your superintendent working for the general contractor, or off the job site, like your architect, your inspector, the GC's quality control manager. Moving the job forward relies on those people making decisions about changes to the design, about whether things were installed correctly, whether the site is safe. But making those decisions relies on the context of drawings and documentation, information on our computers and tools like 3D modeling software, and critically, and right now very underserved, the physical context of the job site. So right now, reaching the site relies on trying to make it happen on the phone or trying to hold site visits physically. Projects have a limited number of site visits. So for example, one of our customers found they had run out of all their architect site visits before they reached the end of the project, and they had to use Imajion in order to get their questions answered without driving the project further over budget. This problem is expensive. It says right there, over $177 billion is wasted every year by this industry because of poor coordination. One of the biggest groaners you'll hear about from any room of general contractors is rework. Now, I don't know what your collective experience with construction is, but even if you've remodeled your kitchen, you're familiar with the cost and the burden of rework, and over half of it is caused by poor communication. And this is an industry that already spends 40% more on travel than other industries. One trip is going to cost a construction project almost 40% more than a comparable one in an adjacent industry. So the solution is Imajion, a tool for effective on-site communication done remotely, without the delays of physical travel, the risks of a project visit, or the loss of context that happens working with insufficient tooling. We leverage augmented reality to bring that context of the job site to everybody, and to bring those other contexts of drawing and documentation and our collective expertise into the meeting remotely. Using augmented reality, you can click on the video and point things out in real-time 3D in the field of view of the user on site. You can drag in drawings and documentation live from the cloud project library and view them together. This is a tool that lets you take it for granted that you can reach the site effectively and make the decisions you need to make in the collective context of a site meeting. Autodesk said, strong communication is the key to construction success. Here's some of the features. I touched on a couple of these already. One thing I'll point out is that this application runs in the field on the Microsoft HoloLens 2 hands-free headset computer, on the iPad Pro, and on the iPhone Pro. Off the job site, you just join from the browser on your computer without anything extra. This saves our customers the time of travel, reduces the cost burden to the project because of that travel. Streamlining workflows is kind of broad, but in that specific case, it's about what you can do with the time that is no longer spent visiting the site. One of our customers reclaimed over 10 hours of productivity for one senior project manager every week by substituting just one physical site walk with an Imajion call. Just the hourly time, the billed expense, worked out to $68,000 a year in annualized project cost savings. But that doesn't compute the added productivity for the job, because Rick was able to make his decisions, then spend the time he would have had in the car. We reduce risks, the risk of visiting the site, the risk of an increased headcount on the site. We help your trades collaborate better. That architect who doesn't have any site visits left in the contract can get to the job. This all reduces rework, reduces those cost burdens. And there's a nice quote for us and a screenshot of the app. Looking at the market, we estimate about a $2 billion TAM for this company right now. That's about what US construction spends on SaaS. If you take out the big players like Procore and Autodesk, that leaves us with about 600 million. We're not going to pick Autodesk's pocket anytime soon. Imajion projects, we can reach about $30 million of a serviceable attainable market, about 5% of that market share. That's 2,500 projects at $1,000 a month. And this category is projected to grow by 20% annually through 2025. I also included the snapshot of some of the markets that intersect with our software: enterprise collaboration, AR, global construction. These are all markets also growing, particularly AR and XR, as we await hardware releases like Apple's glasses. Our current customers, like I said, are using this product to reach their job site effectively and make decisions. Here's a cross section of them. They're generally large cap general contractors and the subcontractors and partners who work on their projects. DPR is that one I referenced with the job up in Washington. ISAT is an engineering firm that is evaluating the installation and the design of seismic braces and brackets at remote facilities remotely using Imajion. I won't read these quotes to you. You can reference them later, but the key is these are customers that recognize both the benefit to their project of leveraging remote work and the competitive advantage it brings them in the market to be the shop on the street that is able to get the job done faster and more efficiently without the burden of relying on physical travel or insufficient tools for site coordination. And all these folks are paying their bills every month. We also have an additional 8 customers currently heading towards a free pilot, again, in that large cap GC space. To touch briefly on our sales model, it is mainly direct outreach over email as well as industry networking. I just left the Impact Ironworkers Conference. Our VP of Sales runs a general contractor roundtable. We connect with the industry directly and indirectly. Look at our competition. Any good idea has been had by some other people first. We're no exception. We're an early mover in this space, not necessarily the first. On-Site, I think, was founded in 2003, but we're the first people to bring effective remote communication with interactivity to the construction industry. Our patent technology means when you click on the video, your input is always pixel perfect accurate to what you're marking on the job site, and accuracy is critical in construction. We integrate to the tools our customers already use to store their data and documentation, like BIM 360 and Procore. So we're the only option on the street if you are attempting to effectively manage your job site remotely without a compromise. And a couple other points there. You can see that live sharing of PDFs, it's built into the web. We have a bigger competitive matrix in the index. As far as pricing, I like to describe it as boringly simple. It is a monthly SaaS application. We don't sell the hardware. We only sell the software. There's no feature reduction from tier to tier. This is strictly about the number of registered users that you need using our product. And the hardware starts at about $1,000 for a brand new iPad Pro. You can get a cheaper one for refurb. Many of our customers already have one. The HoloLens 2 starts at $3,500. And I would invite a comparison to the cost of something like the contractor grade table saw behind me in that picture. Construction companies are used to paying for expensive tools when they get the job done and they do it reliably. Augmented reality hardware is not always cheap, but it only has to replace one physical site meeting to see a return on investment. For our growth projections, we anticipate reaching $1 million ARR at the end of Q3 2022, and this raise is going towards that goal. On the team, my past experience includes running a development shop startup in upstate New York, building software and concepts for other companies. My COO, Danny, is an extremely experienced operator and director at too many nonprofits and businesses for me to name on this slide. Tim Goligly has almost 20 years of experience leading sales teams, is a member of AXA XL's Construction Ecosystem Advisory Board, Blue Collar Capital Partners, and runs his own GC roundtable. He's hyper connected in this industry. And our engineering team, everyone calls them rock stars. I'd invite you to take a look at their LinkedIn profile and verify these folks really are rock stars. Rob's been building enterprise collaboration backend software since the turn of the 21st century. Joe's an experienced 3D graphics rendering expert, worked on the Lego movie. Kyle's a JavaScript Jedi. Over here, one milestone I'd like to reference is that we formed an advisory committee of AEC leadership this year, including national heads of innovation. And here's our ask. We are raising a $2 million convertible note. We've already allocated $1 million. So we are looking for a co-lead or lead investor to come in with an additional $1 million or up to $1 million to join the end of this round. And all of that capital is going specifically towards reaching our customer acquisition goals and developing the product as needed to continue building our traction in the market.
Good pitch, Adrian, very clear. Thanks so much. And I'm sure you've been told before that you have a voice for radio.